want to turn to our Commitment 2026 coverage here. The Republican race for governor has now narrowed to 2, and Democrats have their candidate for November.
KOCO Shanice Hopkins joins us now with a breakdown of last night's results and reaction from the candidates.
Last night was a pretty busy election night. Oklahomans have put in their votes and narrowed the Republican governor's race to 2 candidates. A.D. Drummond and former state senator Mike Mazzei finished on top. The two were neck and neck as results came in, with the AG receiving about 26% of the vote. Mazzei earning a major endorsement from President Donald Trump just days before the election, while Drummond benefited from name recognition as Oklahoma's current attorney general. Now, the candidates look ahead to a runoff election where they both say they'll hit the ground running.
My wife and I really wanted to invest in the people of Oklahoma because we think Oklahoma has unlimited potential for growth and prosperity for the next generation.
This runoff is not about finding a candidate you agree with 100% of the time. It's about choosing a leader you can trust 100% of the time.
The runoff election is August 25th. Voters will decide then who advances to the general election in November. And on the Democratic side, Cindy Munson earned 75% of the votes, earning her spot in the November election. Reporting, Shanice Hopkins, KOCO 5 News.
Shanice, thank you. In turning to the lieutenant governor's race, former State House Speaker T.W. Shannon, boosted by President Trump's endorsement, moves ahead to November without a runoff. Shannon received more than 50% of the vote despite having 4 primary opponents, and he will next face Democrat Kelly Forbes coming up in November. And to the U.S. Senate race as candidates compete for the seat left open by Markwayne Mullin's move to Homeland Security. President Trump-backed Congressman Kevin Hern is headed to November after winning his primary.
I think what's special about being a U.S. Senator, different than being one of 435, is not that you're now one of 100, but that you're one of the 2 in the state that now competes directly with California and New York and Texas and Florida, all those states that we want to compete with. So we're going to take the conservative principles, the ideologies of Oklahoma, and do our best to represent those in the United States Senate.
And on the Democratic side, Nikila Jasmine Thomas and Jim Priest will head to a runoff.
In the race for Oklahoma State Superintendent, the Democratic side is set for November, but Republicans are headed for a summer showdown. On the Democratic side, former Tulsa Public Schools Board of Education member Dr. Janetta Marshall won the nomination, securing about 57% of the vote.
I understand that it is a race, but just like this race, I am confident that the citizens of Oklahoma will look at my work. They will listen to my voice. They will feel my sincerity and my transparency, and they will vote for me.
On the Republican side, no candidate reached the 50% threshold needed to win outright. Hall of Fame educator Dr. Robert Franklin finished first with 22% of the vote. And Little Axe High School teacher and pastor Dr. James Taylor finished in second and will face Franklin in an August runoff.
And more headlines here. Oklahoma's minimum wage will not be increasing to $15 an hour. The state question didn't get enough votes to pass, and even though the measure did not pass, the group behind State Question 832 says they're glad they were able to start a conversation.
We started a conversation in Oklahoma about what it means to work. And there were folks on this campaign that got heard and seen for the first time. They don't have a lobbyist. They don't have anyone representing them at the state capitol. They had the state question. They were very, very passionate supporters. They picked up clipboards and pens and went and got signatures in the heat of the summer. They knocked doors. They worked their tails off because they believe in the dignity of work.
Meanwhile, the state chamber called the vote a win, saying, quote, voters chose to protect Oklahoma's economic momentum and one of our greatest competitive advantages, affordability. We have more election results on KOCO.com and our KOCO app. You can find the article right on our homepage.